If you follow my stuff, you know that I'm happily married to a stable of old, inexpensive, durable, low-maintenance, drama-free Japanese dual sports. But in the spring of 2018, I had a little fling with a $10,500 KTM 350 XCFW 6 days. Love those old, reliable Japanese dual sports, but I had to concede that these modern European machines are an absolute blast. Lucky for my bank account, I quickly wrote off the KTM 350 6 days because it was a dirt bike and not a dual sport. It's not the kind of bike that I'd want to take on a long, loaded-down, mileage-intensive, tarmac-inclusive dual sport adventure. If on pavement, it's more comfortable in the bed of a truck. But then I had a problem because my friend Dave brings down his
Husqvarna
FE350, and I ride it. And it's pretty much the same thing as the 6 days, but this time I can't write it off as another dirt bike that's better covered by Kyle Brotherson or Barry Morris. The Husqvarna FE350 is squarely in my domain because it's a legit mirror-wielding, blinkified dual sport. Street legal in all 50 states, including the big long one. And like the 6 days, it is a thing of beauty off-road, of course. But the surprise comes on the road.
There it is. Man, that was fast. Jeez. This is a fast motorcycle, and it doesn't feel wrapped out. There's not a lot of vibration. This is actually a really good bike on the road.
Make no mistake, it's got vibes, ergonomic issues, and no wind protection, so it's no peach on a Utah freeway at 80. But aside from those high-frequency wiggles, it rides pretty smoothly. And only at 75 miles per hour, where it still has plenty more to give, do things start to get unbearable. So it is not the perfect 50-50 enduro corn, but for a bike that performs so gorgeously off-road, it really has no business being this good on the road. And of course, good is relative. By street bike standards, it's a vibey, screaming, uncomfortable mess, but by dual sport standards, it's on the good end. It's got 6 gears, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 240 pounds dry. I could consistently get it from 0 to 60 in around 5 to 6 seconds, and I think it looks fantastic. But like the 6 days, it's not an absolute fire-breathing monster, and that's a good thing. Dave has modded it for longer journeys with this enormous 4.5-gallon tank that, with the economy of 60 miles per gallon, gives this thing a 270-mile range. In the upper revs, it pulls kind of like a 450, but without the poo shooting out because you accidentally rolled past 11 o'clock on the whoops. The 350 is literally the perfect displacement for a dirt-biased dual sport. Plenty of 450-esque power at high revs, but forgiving like a 250 in the middle. But unlike a 250, the torque doesn't fade at low revs. What's best is that it has enough perky gruntigans to travel between torquey slow and rippy fast very, very quickly.
Oh, this thing can go. Oh, and that wide ratio is really good.
Dave calls his Husqvarna the Blue Hulk, mainly because the huge fuel tank looks like it's busting out of its shirt. I think the name is spot on, but not just because of the way it looks, but because it's an easy-going, mild-mannered genius in the slow stuff. But crack it open. So what's the price of this mild-mannered, maniacal monster? Dave picked it up out the door for $9,200. He threw another $1,000 at it for the fuel and adventure mods to get it how he liked it, and it is glorious. So it's an utter blast to ride, with decent road manners under 75 and dirt chops that remind me very closely of the 4-stroke perfection that is the 356 days. It's easily one of the best dirt-biased dual sports I've ever ridden, but it's not flawless, and I've got a few critical gripes. I have the talent of Graham Jarvis' little finger nail. See, I'm less from the school of Jarvis and more from the school of sit down like a sloth and just let the weight of the bike and the mass around my midsection keep me plowing ahead through the gnar. A talented rider could easily de-weight the FE350's front wheel at every obstacle, but when you ride like I do, lazily, that front suspension can pogo pretty hard and throw it all off. The Husqvarna FE350 isn't going to let you be lazy like the heavier 400s with love-sack suspension. If you're a new rider or completely feckless like me, I'd recommend a steering stabilizer and a minor suspension adjustment if you pick an FE350 up. The only other problem I had was the stabby front brake. Instead of having a linear grab where the more you pull, the more you stop, you could pull a little and nothing, then just full Kung Fu death grip. I'd blame the big gas tank, but other times it would modulate just fine. It could be just Dave's bike, but in these sandy trenches, you'll either stop, or you'll have a main course of rock overhang followed by whatever dessert travels through a straw. Really, those issues are probably a quick tune away from being remedied. All in all, it's an amazing dual sport. But there is one more big problem: the chase bike. You can just see the aged handlebars and outdated front fender in some of the shots. Well, surprise, that's a 2002 DRZ 400S, CV carb, bone stock, and made before the S got the upgraded E suspenders. It's at least 80 pounds heavier than the Husqvarna, 16 years older with about half the horsepower, and it cost Dallas a healthy $8,000 less. As responsive and glorious and as good as the FE350 is, I have to mention that neither of us really had a problem keeping up with the other when we traded off for the DRZ. It was probably that extra weight and cushy suspension that bulldozed our lazy, seated, pasty white dad bod butts through the rocks. But at the end of the day, we weren't really surprised by how good the Husqvarna was. We both knew it would be stunning, and it absolutely was. The real surprise, for us, was how this stock old DRZ actually kept up with the near-perfect and moderately modded Husqvarna. Now, throughout this video, you've probably wondered why I haven't dared say Husqvarna. Well, rumor is there's a band of these wraithy thingies that scour the internet looking for anybody who pronounces Husqvarna incorrectly. It's said that if one of these wraiths corrects you in the comments, you've got exactly 15 minutes before your nothing but a delicious helping of IKEA meatballs. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thanks to Dave for letting me borrow his gorgeous FE350 for the weekend, to Dallas for helping me film and bringing his surprisingly good old DRZ, and for every producer and patron out there who makes these videos possible. Much love to all of you. eveRide out.